We're working on the challenge for nested loops 1, and this is traversing a single nested list under list iteration. We have two lists, x and y, and then a nested for loop situation. So it's asking what will the below code print on the last iteration of both loops. So let's just trace this code a little bit. On my first iteration, I'm iterating through x, so my I is going to be equal to 0. And then it looks like in the list y, in my inner for loop, j is going to be 5. Right, so 0 times 5 is 0, and that's what would be printed, I times j. Now for the next iteration, only the inner loop iterates. So now we'll have 0 times 6, and then 0 times 7, so on and so forth. And after we do 0 times 10, this inner for loop will be complete. We've gone through the entire list. So then we go back up to the outer for loop and make our next iteration there. In that case, this is 1, right? And then we do the same thing. Now that I is equal to 1, we run this inner for loop again. The inner for loop, this time 1 times 5, 1 times 6, 1 times 7, etc., etc. Then once I get to 1 times 10, again, the inner for loop is completed, and we move back to the outer for loop in our next iteration, which would be 2. So when we're talking about the very last iteration of these nested loops, we can see that where we're going to end up is with I being equal to 5 and j being equal to 10, and we can print I times j, that is 5 times 10. We can see that as 50, and we get the correct answer.